Hey, everybody, it's Jim Johnson, your host here on Contractor Radio, and also the head coach at Contractor Coach Pro. And what we do here on Contractor Radio is we help people understand this blueprint that their businesses go through. We tend to be very focused on what we call the operational DNA of our business: marketing, sales, recruiting and hiring, training, maybe some technology, those type of things. But there's also a foundational part of our DNA that we need to pay attention to: leadership, culture, process, um, HR, finance, and accountability. And these things happen in a sequence. It's a blueprint, literally like the blueprint of our human bodies. That's the blueprint of your business. That's going to determine whether it's a beautiful baby that grows into a beautiful business, or maybe it's going to be an ugly baby if we don't follow that sequence. We want to help you avoid ugly babies. And that's what we do here at Contractor Coach Pro and here through our podcast, Contractor Radio. We're going to be talking about one of those operational things today. We're going to be talking about marketing. We have an amazing guest. This guy is the end all and be all of making contractors known, the best known contractor in their markets. I'm super excited to have him on board. I can't wait to bring him in. But before we do, we got to pay the bills, keep the lights on. So we're going to hear a little message from one of our sponsors.
Want more 5-star reviews from your customers? At Signpost, we make it easy for your customers to give you great reviews on Google, Facebook, Yelp, and more. Our software connects with industry-specific solutions, driving even more reviews from your customers. Drive loyalty and repeat business by sending the right messages at the right times to your prospects and customers. Message your contacts from anywhere, anytime, using text, photos, and video all in one app. Check on progress with campaigns and review generation across Google, Facebook, and Yelp. Visit signpost.com and get your demo today.
All right, everybody, that was a little message from Signpost. If you want to engage with your prospects and your customers, not a better solution out there, reach out to those guys. Tell them you heard about it on Contractor Radio, and they will give you a great discount to begin engaging quite a bit better with your prospects and customers. Today, we're going to be talking about that engagement, those prospects, and how we get them into our world. And we're going to be talking about how to become the best known contractor in your market. And we actually have the author, Jim Ahlin from Roofer Marketers, founder of Roofer Marketers, and he's the author of The Best Known Roofer, the Omnipresent Marketing Network, and this idea of omnipresence, which I know when I first heard that, I was like, what? Like, that sounds bad. That sounds a lot like, Terminator, AI taking over the world, but it's a whole different thing. We're excited to talk about it today. Hey, Jim, welcome aboard on Contractor Radio.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jim.
Yeah, it's, you and I have gotten to know each other over the last few years, and we really pay a lot of attention to your podcast. We learn every day from what you guys share, even for our own business here as a coaching business and podcast. We like to follow your lead. You're pretty good at it. You got lots of followers, lots of downloads and subscribers. And it's because contractors are hungry. They're hungry for getting more leads, growing their business. And so tell us kind of how you got here. What, wrote this book. We got Roofer Marketers. Why Roofer Marketers?
So Roofer Marketers started 3 years ago when we published our first book. So prior to Roofer Marketers, I've been doing web development since 2002. Like, I wrote websites. You know that program on your PC called Notepad that like is just the most plain text editor? I wrote code on that thing, like server-side programming, dynamic websites written in that program. So I've been doing this for a long time. What I learned early on was that I'm not a programmer, and I didn't like sitting there looking for semicolons and capital letters in my code and trying to fix things. So I got out of that and I got into business, into real estate and different things like that. And I always found myself in the marketer role, and usually on the digital marketer. I built with all the partnerships I was in, I built the website and did all of our digital marketing. Over time, people started asking me for help with that. So I started helping people with that. in the mid 2010, 12 area, I started doing pay per lead for contractors, building up my own marketing, getting leads coming in and selling those leads. And then in around 2018, my business partner Brian and I met, and we put together Roofer Marketers. He had a digital marketing agency that he had a few contractor clients. I was doing the pay per lead. We put our ideas together and formed Roofer Marketers. So 3 years now. 3 years just working with roofing contractors. But what you were saying about the best known contractor, the principles that we deploy in the way that we do our marketing system, it works for all contractors and a lot of other businesses out there.
The concepts we're going to talk about today are really applicable to just about any brick and mortar business. Is that a fair assessment, or at least service related brick and mortar business?
Yeah, it really, the kind of the concepts that we go around, Google is kind of the foundation for most online marketing, right? You have your social media also, but Google's the foundation for everything online. And Google's overall goal is to provide the searcher with the best user experience, right? And so anytime someone types something into Google, they format the page differently. So Google understands that with like a contractor, a dentist, things like that, if someone types that into Google, they're looking for someone locally. So they format the page in what they call the local search engine results page. And so when your business has that format, a lot of the principles apply. Some of these principles apply to B2B businesses like our marketing agency and your coaching business also. But a lot of it for contractors, it's that local search engine results page where when people are searching and there's some buying intent, there's commercial intent, they're looking to make a phone call.
Yeah, it usually starts off with so-and-so near me, right?
That's right.
Like a roofer, in this town, roofer near me, that type of thing. And it could be any contractor, a dentist, a doctor,
That's right.
like those concepts. But if you're searching for like a business coach like us, you don't go business coach near me. You say business coach for contractors, that type of thing, right?
That's right.
And so it's a bit of a different search. You get a different result. And so we want to talk about how it applies to contractors in general, and specifically in your world to roofers. So what is this omnipresence thing? Like we hear that, and it sounds like, the book 1984, if anybody ever watched that, Big Brother type of thing. And I, when I think of it, what I think of is I talked out loud and I said so-and-so, like, hey man, I've been thinking about getting a new couch. And then all of a sudden on my Facebook feed and on my Google searches, there's all these ads for couches and stuff like that. And it's weird. Like, but most people are freaked out by it. I'm like, that's cool. But like, I'm going to talk out loud about all the stuff that I want to get. So it just pops up for me. I don't even have to do a search. But that's not all there is to it. So can you explain to us kind of in a brief, like Reader's Digest version without making it rocket science for everybody?
So to make it as simple as possible, omnipresence is being best known to your perfect customer. Right? Let's just make it as simple as possible. So if you are a roofer, you want to be the best known to your perfect customer. If you are in a specific location, you want to be best known to the people in that location, right? If you're a roofer in Minneapolis, Minnesota, you don't want everyone in Texas to know about you. It doesn't matter as much to your business. And it can be boiled down to those, to kind of who's in buying mode at any given time. So really in your market, there's probably only 3% of people who are in buying mode, right? You have a lot of perfect customers out there, but only a small portion of them are interested in buying right now. So you want to become best known to them prior to them being in buying mode, so that when they are starting to think about, hey, I want to remodel my kitchen, you come to mind. Man, our drain is plugged. I need a plumber. You come to mind. And the way I like to describe this is that when people are when people have a need, the first thing that they do is they reference their mental Rolodex, right? So, if they're looking for a roofer, they think to themselves, do I know a good roofer? If they do, they make the phone call, right? If they don't, they go two directions. They ask a friend or family member, maybe someone from church,
Facebook group.
Or they head to Google or a neighborhood Facebook group, right? They're asking for referrals. So all of those people is where you can become best known, right? So it's not just becoming best known to them, their neighbor might know you, right? The person in their neighborhood HOA Facebook group, they're asking for those referrals. So the more people that you can get to know your business, and this is kind of business fundamentals, right? The more people that get to know what you do, the easier it is for you to generate, consistent business. So hopefully that helps kind of.
Yeah. So let's talk about what it isn't. What isn't omnipresence? Because I think there's some confusion out there. Like I got to be everywhere all the time, every moment.
Yeah, and that's really the big thing, right? Is that it's omnipresent. Thinking of it as omnipresent to your perfect customer, right? Just thinking of the people that you want to serve in your business on an ongoing basis. Like I said, with that example, if you're a roofer in Minneapolis, you don't have to be omnipresent to people in Texas, right? You want to be omnipresent to your perfect customer. If you have, if you're a commercial roofing company or a commercial contractor, that homeowner isn't as important to your business, right? Being omnipresent to them is not as important to you, but being omnipresent to the property managers in your service area, being omnipresent to the building owners, to all of those people, that is where you want to focus it. So not being everywhere to everyone.
So can you, this is going to sound like a silly question. I wasn't even planning on asking this, but can you get like Uber targeted with that? Like I'm the best known roofer to golf course communities.
Yep.
Like you live in a golf course community. That's our specialty. That's what we do. Does that make it easier to be omnipresent with them?
Definitely. The more you understand who your customer is, the easier it is to serve them, right? The easier it is to become omnipresent. There's a great sales book out there that you might have heard of, The Ultimate Sales Machine, Chet Holmes.
Yeah, great book.
You know that one, Jim?
Oh yeah,
great book, right? And he has it's called the Dream 100. It's called the Dream 100 strategy. So you identify your top 100 prospects, like really identify them, right? Like I know their name, their address, their phone number, their LinkedIn profile, their Facebook profile, and you become friends and connect with them. And you go to the trade shows that they go to, and you show up right. You're everywhere that they are, so that they can get to know you. And in getting to know you and that you serve them, they're going to think of you when that need arrives. So it really comes down to knowing who you are. So for example, if you, we live in Minneapolis, if you are a contractor that really focuses on lake homes, right? Cabins. We build cabins, or we remodel cabins. We are this specific group. Well, you know who your audience is, right? You know that people who buy cabins are your audience. People who live on the lakes are your audience. Where do they hang out? Right? What Facebook groups are they involved in? What other things do they buy? Do they go to the boat show? Probably, right? Do they go, right? There's all of these things that you can figure out in relation to that. If you are, say, a commercial roofing contractor, right? That's still a very broad conversation, right? That, what type of roofing systems do you install? Who are the owners of those buildings? So maybe for example, the type of roofing system that you install, that you're really good at installing, is used on every restaurant in your area. Well, now you need to become the restaurant. You need to go to the local restaurant association.
Yeah, I'm the restaurant roofer,
right? Yeah, and you could be the restaurant roofer, right? Like it's honestly, you can get that narrowly focused. If you're, a tenant, if you're doing tenant finish, you get involved in the local groups that the local real estate groups where all of those commercial real estate people hang out. You get involved, like those are you can really get focused in. And we call that our perfect customer avatar in marketing, right? It's developing your perfect customer avatar. And in developing that perfect customer avatar, first you're understanding who that person is, right? Identifying them, thinking about their fears, their desires, all of the things that are in relation to that perfect customer avatar, not just in relation to your business, right? Maybe also in relation to their life. For example, for a residential roofing, a residential homeowner looking for a new roof, some of their fears are being ripped off by contractors, right? They have other fears that it's going to take up too much of their time, right? Things that you wouldn't think of, right? So then in your conversations to these people, you can really focus in on what they are looking for in a contractor. And a restaurant owner looking to get there is going to be thinking of different things than that residential homeowner.
So when it comes to what it isn't, that's like just broad-based, throw money at it. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a form of marketing too, top of mind marketing that is in general, right? But it's super expensive. I mean, you're looking probably 8 to 10% of your total revenue to become that contractor.
For sure.
And I think it's unnecessary.
we could talk about things like that, right? So the traditional media channels like television and radio, those kind of try to be everything to everyone. But what you did is you chose, well, maybe my audience watches this specific TV show, right? So you ran your commercials during that TV show versus the something that your audience might not. Same with the radio. You would choose the radio station, the type of music, right? Or the talk radio channel that had your type of audience. But you're still kind of, it's really spread thin. Since the inception of digital, the data collection, and we may talk about this a little bit later, the data collection that happens, you could get very precise. You could get so specific as to be in front of those people. And that could be through, Facebook advertising, Google advertising, direct mail, door to door, just being really focused on those perfect customers.
So why do most contractors approach their lead generation the wrong way?
I think that they look at it as short-term solutions to a long-term problem.
Oh, you mean they want leads right this second?
Want leads right this second. That's the biggest thing, the biggest issue or one of the bigger issues that I see with contractors is they go, man, I need leads now. They didn't think about it 6 months ago when that hailstorm hit and they were busy, right? They're thinking now, oh man, I need leads now. Marketing can really be broken down into three types of three channels, right? Or short-term, mid-term, and long-term. I heard a good analogy recently that was like in relation to golf, right? Marketing is your driver, right? That's what gets you down towards the green. Your chipping and putting is your sales. So marketing gets you close. The marketing you're doing gets you close. Most contractors are looking for marketing or lead generation that is a sale. It's not a sale. They're two different things, right? So in short-term marketing, that could be more direct sales, right? Marketing and sales intertwine, right? If you want to, get a roofing a contract on a roof today, boots and knuckles.
Yeah, I was going to say, first start knocking doors.
Short term, right? That's short term, right? That is short term. Get out there and hustle. That's the only kind of short term, and direct sales is kind of an overlap with marketing, right? Your midterm stuff is where you could get focused on, is going to be that more paid advertising, Google ads, Facebook ads, Google local service ads, those types of things, even maybe buying leads from lead aggregators. That may be more of a middle solution. And then you have your long-term stuff. And that's the omnipresence. That's where That's your social media posting, your social media ads. That is your your branding, right? The wrap trucks that you have driving through the neighborhoods, your billboards, essentially, right? All of those things that keep you top of mind or help you become top of mind to your perfect customer. And that's the long-term stuff. If only 3% of people are in buying mode at any given time, that's where that door-to-door direct sales, you're going to find that 3% faster, right? But you want to be hitting that other 97% and be getting them to get to know you.
Yeah, it's this idea that when I have a need isn't necessarily when you're doing your marketing, right?
Yeah.
That can happen later. So if you're all about one type of marketing, let's say door knocking, telemarketing, the instant stuff, right? Well, if you don't door knock and telemarket somebody that needs it right then, they don't ever hear from you again. Your chances of getting that person are very, very slim. It would have to be that you left something amazing behind that they didn't let go of because it was so awesome, right?
Yeah.
And then that middle level, your Facebook ads and your Google ads and things like that. It's got to come across their screen at the right time in the right place, and you just hopefully get lucky. With Omnipresent, they're thinking about you already, right? They're like, okay, I need a roofer. Okay, I need game day roofing, right?
Yep.
So explain to me, like in real life, like I'm somebody that's looking for a roofer, and what does that look like in real life for somebody to like go down that road and get into our world?
So from the customer journey, especially for some of the, especially for a lot of contractors, right? We're either emergency service or large cash outlays, right? Like,
yeah.
And so no one wants you until they need you, right? Now we can split up even further into things that people want to pay for and things that people don't want to pay for, right? People want to pay for a new kitchen, because it'll bring joy to their life. It opens up their family, right? Like that. Now we have a great place to eat dinner with the family, and right. People want that the beautiful landscaped yard. People don't want to pay a plumber to fix a broken toilet. People don't want to spend money on a roof, right there. So there's kind of two sides to it there. So for that customer, you're going to have to look at it depending on what type of contractor you are. But
Okay.
One of the things that you have to do is to think about how to provide value to them on an ongoing basis, right? Because they don't know you, right? So things like being involved in your community, sponsoring a little league team, those types of things, being active in your church. All of those things will be places to start, right? Because that's where people are going to start to get to know you. Wow. Okay. Then that's that attraction. Oh, now maybe they follow you on Facebook. Now you're putting out content that's useful to them. It's relevant to them. It may not be about, hey, we just did this perfect roof today, or this is what to look for, if a storm comes through, but it may be things about the local community, right? You don't have to just talk about what you do. You could talk about your local area too. And you're just bringing them into your fold, getting them. I mean, it's the know you, like you, trust you, Jim.
Yeah. So let's take an example here. I'm somebody, I got an older roof, and I know I need one. And I go do a search, right? So we talked about what that search looks like. Roofer near me, right?
Yep.
Do I like get the list and go, that's the number one guy, go to his website and buy from him right away?
A lot of people will. So it's 50% of people buy from the person that they speak with first. Isn't that crazy?
That is wow.
50% of people will buy from the person that they speak to first. Now, when they go to Google, there's 4 main sections. There's the Google local service ads at the top of the page. There's Google pay-per-click advertising below that. There's the map with 3 to 4 companies listed in the map section. And then there's the websites that Google finds most relevant below that. Everybody's search is a little bit different, right? So a certain percentage of people will click on those Google guaranteed Google local service ads and they'll make a call there. Another portion of people will click on one of the Google ads. I like to go to the map section personally because I like, right? You too. It's right. That's where you see their reviews.
Yeah.
You know that they're, right? That you see that's that social proof, right? So that's one of the biggest things where people start off also online is, man, those reviews are probably one of the most important things that you can do on an ongoing basis for that outward perception of your company. People trust reviews online as much as a recommendation from a friend or family member.
Oh, man, it is. And that applies to everything. I'm going to go buy something on Amazon. What are the reviews on that product?
That's
I'm going to
right.
go buy something from Costco or Walmart, or I'm doing a Google search. What are the reviews? And I don't necessarily read them all. I tend to go, what's the average?
That's right.
Better than a 4.5. That's the number I'm looking at. I want top notch, right? So is it better than a 4.5? Yes, it is. So I'll go look at a couple of good ones and say, okay, what happened there? And I always go look for the bad one. What happened? Like, why did they have a bad experience? And if I see a reply from the company, I go, okay, they communicate, all good. There are such things as bad customers. They exist.
They exist.
And do you think most people search that way?
Yes. About 35% of searches go to the map section. People go to the map section. They call from there. They click on your website. They hit directions, all those types of things. But a good portion of that searches, they look in that map section. And so that's definitely in that section specifically. Reputation is everything. You can show up there, but if you don't have as good or better a reputation than the competitors that you show up next to, you're not getting the phone call.
Perfect. So we've got to take a break here. There's lots of lights around here. I got to keep them all on. We have sponsors that want to be a part of our show. We're gonna run one of those right now. But I want to let everybody know we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the 3 principles of omnipresent marketing. We're going to talk about maybe an action plan that people can step into and maybe get some of this omnipresent, be the best known contractor of your type or trade in your market. You good with that, Jim?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Let's hear a little bit from Get the Referral.
Who doesn't love getting more referrals? GTR will make your referral game stronger than ever with our 4-step process. First, engage with customers through job status updates and push notifications. Then, motivate your advocates to send referrals and earn rewards. Third, track and manage all of your results through your company's dashboard. And finally, sit back and enjoy achieving up to 40 times ROI. GTR is the #1 referral platform for contractors, so book your demo today at getthereferral.com.
And that is no lie. Those guys are awesome.
They are.
If you're wanting to get more referrals, track those referrals, reward your referrals. There is nothing out there better than Get the Referral. In the show notes today, if you guys look down there, there'll be a link there. You get a cool little discount by listening to Contractor Radio. Click on that link, talk to the team over at Get the Referrals. And that was a big thing for us. And we were talking about reviews and things like that. Like, it's a big thing. These referrals can be 3 times what your original sales are if you have a good strategy for it. So speaking of strategy, what are the 3 principles of our omnipresence marketing system? What do we need to understand about that?
So the first principle is to maximize the opportunity to make your phone ring, right? So within that, it's, being in those Google local service ads, running pay-per-click advertising, showing up in the maps and having a good reputation, having your website ranking on Google, doing Facebook ads, social media advertising. Every way that you can generate a lead would be an opportunity, right? So yard signs, mailers, radio commercials, TV commercials, billboards, real billboards, right? All of these are opportunities. So depending on where you are in your business, it's going to be a little bit different, but you want to start with maximizing your opportunities. If you're not there, you don't have the opportunity, right?
Yeah. So could we take that one step further? Like I hear this a lot, right? Like, yeah, I got this marketing company and they generate a bunch of leads and they were bad leads, right? And I always question that, like, were they bad leads, or is it possible that you have poor sales tactics, poor sales practice, poor sales delivery, poor delivery on what it is you do and things like that? That's always a tough question to handle with one of our clients, but it's the truth. Like, if you just increase your closing percentage because you got a system and you practiced it and you were good at it, by 5 or 10%, does that make the difference whether that was a good lead or a bad lead? So I think it's like you said earlier, marketing and sales, man, they're tied together. And you get these opportunities that your marketing company creates for you. Not only do you need to be on top of them, call them right away and show up on time, but you better be pretty darn good whenever you get there. The nice thing about our industry, to be honest with you, most people aren't very good. Yeah. So if I just put a little bit of effort into being really good at it, your results can be off the charts if you have some good marketing. Okay, so what's the second thing?
So the second thing is to maximize your brand impressions to your perfect customer. So now that they found you, right? They visited your website, or they interacted with you on Facebook, or they Googled you, right? And they read your reviews and things like that. Now you're maximizing your brand impressions. So a portion of that is done through retargeting, Google ads retargeting, Facebook ads retargeting. And now those are those ads that follow you around. Those are those ads that show up when you think you said something into the phone, but really maybe you said something and your wife searched it and now it shows up on your phone too. Like, there's a lot of cross-channel stuff going on there. But it's those brand impressions, right? It's the old advertising rule of 7. People don't recognize your brand until they've seen it at least 7 times, right? So it just doesn't register. It's the real reason why brands like Coca-Cola and, these, you're like, man, why is this everywhere? Like, it is everywhere. It's just their brand. So now your brand is everywhere to them. But in today's kind of in the digital marketing age, you can be very targeted with that and very targeted to those customers. They visited your website. Now you're in front of them for months, because you don't know what part of the buying cycle they're in, right? Also on Facebook, you can do Facebook, and social media is a great place to do brand awareness. So talking about your brand, your core values, the great customer experiences, things like that, and putting that out to companies to homeowners in your area. We talked about this earlier. The organic side of things is a little bit, it's tough now, right? So it's kind of pay to play. So you have to put a little ad spend behind that sometimes to become that, to have that brand awareness. But the more times people see you, see your brand, the more likely they are to make that phone call to you.
So I heard this crazy stat that, it takes 7 times for them to even know you exist. It takes 22 to 25 times for them to actually take action. Yeah. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? Like, and I think so much of that is because of the noise that's out there. There's so much noise. There's so much distraction. There's so much busyness in our lives that while we may be aware of you, we're not taking action because something else is taking priority at that point.
That's right.
And hopefully we're moving up that priority scale. And by that 20-second time, you're like, okay, I got time. I got to do this thing. And I go do this thing, right?
And think about how many times, Jim, that you were like, man, I need this. I need something, right? And you go and Google something, and you're in the middle of your day, and it just came to your mind. You Google something, and you're looking at it. You look at a couple companies, and you're like, okay, I'll come back to that later. We all come back to it later, but in the meantime, now they check the weather. They go check the weather. There's an ad for you. Now my dad texted me a couple months back, and he's like, I am playing solitaire on my phone and there's an ad for your company. Is that expensive? Right? Like, it's being everywhere. And the platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Google Ads and other display networks allow us to do that, right? So that we can capture more of those people's attention.
All right. So that covers opportunities and brand impressions. What's number 3?
Number 3 is to maximize the conversions of everything that you're doing online, right? This is where, kind of to that point where you're talking about the leads, right? Quality of lead versus quality of sales person, things like that, where you're optimizing conversions. The first thing that you need to do to optimize conversions is speed to lead, right? Somebody fills out a form on your website or calls your company, you need to be there, right? It's amazing that I have to say this, Jim, but you have to answer your phone.
Yeah, it's the funniest thing is it seems like such a logical thing to me, right? That when somebody calls, you answer the phone. And when you answer the phone, you deliver what it is they want, which what they want is an appointment. That's why they called you.
Right.
And I want you to come out. But if instead you were to say, hey, thanks for calling us. Let me get your address and your information, and I'll have one of my sales reps give you a call here in just a few minutes. That few minutes, they're calling the next person. That's like calling your barber and saying, hey, can I get a haircut? And they say, yeah, sure. I'll have Joey call you back here. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go call the next person. Yeah. So that those little nuances of the little phone right away, be quick to it, and give them what they want. Right.
Yeah. And so we do things like in that process, if someone fills out one of the forms for one of our customers, that generates a phone call to your business. So now they hit submit on the form. They get to a thank you page that says, hey, thank you for submitting your information. Please be near your phone. We're calling you now. And the technology that's available today will allow you to do that. So when they hit submit, that phone rings and it rings your office or whoever, you choose. And they pick up the phone and it says, hey, you have a new web form lead, press 1 to connect. They press 1 and it does an outbound dial to the phone number that they put in the form. If that person answers, you're on the phone with them in 20 seconds. It's the most important thing is what you said. And this is what I want people to remember is set that appointment. Set the appointment. How many, especially in an emergency service situation, right? Or something that people don't want to pay for. How many salespeople do you think they want at their house?
0. They don't want it.
None of us want to be sold. None of us want that person at our house that we feel like, man, they're gonna try and sell us something, right? When you have that appointment booked, people stop calling the next company.
Yep.
That appointment has to be booked, right? So now what we do things like this, because you could take it even further. Now maybe they don't answer the phone. So you leave them a voicemail and we wait a minute and we send them a text message. Hey, just tried to call you and left you a voicemail, right? Now, if they don't respond to that text within a certain amount of time, we shoot them over an email. Then we shoot them another text message. Then we call them again later, right? It's all an automated process because on the sales side, now that turns into the sales side, right? And on that sales side, the studies have been done that you need to contact people. I think the sweet spot is around 8 times before they pick up, right? Before they respond. So you're responding to them in a very short amount of time, and you're communicating with them in many different ways, right? It doesn't have to be, well, some people filled out a form because they didn't want to call. Well, now you have an option to email and an option to text, right? So now we're giving them more options to have that conversation with us. So those are things that we do around conversion rate optimization. Other things that you can do around conversion rate optimization, say, for example, you're running a Facebook ad for a financing offer. Hey, 147 up, as low as $99 a month for a new roof. Someone clicks on that Facebook ad and it takes them to your website where it says nothing about this offer, about this $99 for a free roof. It just takes them to the homepage of your website. They're gone.
Yeah.
Right?
They
They're gone.
clicked on it for a reason. They wanted it.
Clicked on it for a reason. Let me speak to this, right? So, landing pages are a great way, and it's kind of a, so getting them to a page, getting them to where you're continuing that conversation about what you offered them. Or, let's say you're a metal roofing company, right? If somebody types in metal roofing companies into Google, they should see stuff about metal, right? Like, they're not looking for asphalt shingle. They're not looking for TPO. They're not, right? They are looking for metal.
Yeah, they're not looking for everything you do. They're looking for the specific thing that they took action on. So being cognizant of that, right? In all of the marketing efforts that you're doing, being cognizant of that. If you're in a storm damage restoration market and you're knocking doors and you're leaving door hangers or letters or flyers or whatever you're leaving, making sure that when those people respond to that they're going to a place that speaks to them, right? So all of that is more in that conversion rate optimization. Does it matter on that sales page if it's a sales page actually on your website, or could it be through a sales page tool like, say, ClickFunnels or sales page lead pages, something like that?
Yeah, so there are plenty of sales page tools. So those things like that, tools like that, Instapage, Unbounce, ClickFunnels, all of these different softwares that are available for landing page to build these sales pages, build these landing pages, will integrate most likely with your current website. Most websites nowadays are built on WordPress. Everything integrates. Maybe you have to do it. So now it's / financing offer, right? And they land on that page. So in a simple way, you just add a page to your website, redesign it / financing offer, and that's where people go on that financing offer. If you want to, get more technical with it, you can have a system like you're talking about, and actually builds very specific landing pages. That's what.
Yeah, if somebody was wanting to do it on their own, it's not a bad way to start.
Yeah,
now,
that's right.
We're talking
something
about
is better than nothing. This is my favorite thing about business, my favorite way to do business, Jim, is phase 1, do something. Phase 2, do something better. Phase 3, do something better than that, on and on and on, right? So start with something, right? And just continue to improve on what you're doing.
Yeah, contractors are in various phases. When they're small, they can't afford roofer marketers to go and do their thing in this big ad spend. So keep and do what you can do on your own. Take that first step, maybe create a landing page, go create a cheap little Facebook ad and start to get some results from it.
That's right.
And then as you start to get more results and as you start to maximize those conversions and opportunities, then you go out and you go, I'm tired of doing this. I'm not great at it anyway. Let me go get a pro and step into the world that you're in.
That's right.
So I got one more thing I want to cover before we let you go, because I always like the ability for somebody to take action. And so how would somebody go about creating a bit of an action plan? They listened to this whole podcast today and said, hey, this marketing thing's pretty cool. I like this. I like the idea of being the best known whatever contractor in my area. What's some actions that they can take to make some of those things happen?
Okay, let's start with making a list of the opportunities that you are already utilizing, right? So are you utilizing Facebook, right? Do you have a Facebook page, and are you actively posting on it? Are you running ads on that Facebook and Facebook Instagram page, right? Taking inventory, right? Hey, have we signed up for Google local service ads? Did we get Google guaranteed? Do we have the opportunity to generate leads from that area, right? Are we running Google pay-per-click? Do we have a Google My Business listing? Are we actively getting reviews on there? Do we have a website that's built for SEO, or is it just a brochure, right? So taking inventory of where you're at. Everybody's going to be in a different place, right? Then it's starting to look at it and say, okay, now what's next in our business?
What's the goal?
What's the goal, right? And so, let's take a look at what our revenue goals are, what our revenue goal, where our current revenue is. And there's always a gap between your current revenue and your revenue goal. And this is where I think that a lot of the misconception happens, especially what we talked about, like people need leads and things like that, is they need to fill that gap. So if you think about it like this, hey, we're $1.5 million company. If I did nothing different next year, I could still do $1.5 million, right? That's where you are. That's your base level, right? Now, what's my goal for next year? Well, my goal for next year is 2 million or 3 million or 5 million. Notice that gap gets wider as your goal increases. That gap is that effort. Now, that effort is going to come in from time and money, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we have to fill that gap. The larger gap you have, the larger that time and financial investment is going to take to fill that gap. So first we determine, okay, we're doing good in this area. We're not doing good in that area. We took inventory. We have all of these opportunities. Then where can we spend our time and effort in that, right? If it's organic social media posting, hey, we have a Facebook page and an Instagram account, but we just don't post on it. Start posting. If hey man, we never got signed up for those Google local service ads. They do that. So take inventory of where you are, what you have for you. And then determine that gap, right? How big of a gap you need to fill for next year, and be honest with yourself, right? In setting those expectations and being honest with yourself in terms of what time and effort it's going to take, in the roofing industry, kind of the industry standard, I'm not huge on industry standards, but 5% of your gross revenue is goes towards a marketing budget on average. Do you find that, Jim?
Yeah, it ranges depending upon approach by contractor and
right.
type of contractor, right?
Yep.
And
There are a lot of variables.
Yeah, if you're starting with it's lower because you're knocking doors. If you're more retail, it's going to be a bit more of your budget. But I can confidently say somewhere between 3 and 5%.
Yeah. And so now, we see between 3 and 8% sometimes. And that's because, man, we're trying to go from $1 million a year to $4 million a year. Well, you better turn that spend up, right? So being honest with yourself about that. You're not going to fill that gap with nothing, right? If, like you had mentioned, if you have a good canvassing teams and you need to fill that gap with canvassing, well, you may need more people.
Yeah, we're going to have to hire some people.
We need to hire people. We need more boots and knuckles. We need to get, so there's a gap to fill at all times. So in your action plan, first is identifying what you're doing well. Right. I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn, the business philosopher. Right.
Yeah,
one of my favorite things from him was that you need 5 to 7 lead sources to have consistent lead flow in your business. So one thing will work well for you, but then you just keep adding. Right. So, okay, we're going to start posting on social media regularly. That's one thing. Then we're going to add Google local service ads. Then we're going to really focus on our Google My Business listing and getting more reviews. Now it's time to get a new website, right? Our website is terrible. We need a website that's built for SEO and for conversion rate optimization, not just to have a website. Now it's running Facebook ads or Google ads and putting some money into those things. So it really will depend on where you're at. But the action plan will be to continue to add channels, right? Continue to add to your opportunities.
That's where the whole omni-channel thing comes into play. You'll hear omnipresence sometimes described
omnipresence. Yep, omnichannel, multi-channel marketing. There's different ways to describe it, and then once you're there, right? And maybe it's, hey, we need more brand, right? We need our trucks wrapped. We need a better, we want to put a show on build day, right? On production day, we need flags for the yard, and we need we want to it's just small improvements in everything along the way, but taking inventory first of what you're doing, being honest with yourself about the expectations of your revenue goals and where you are currently and what it's going to take to get there. And so hopefully it's going to be different for everyone. So it's
exactly the way we would coach it. We'd say, hey, you want to hit 3 million next year. You did 1.5 million this year. Okay, let's take into account what you did marketing wise to achieve that 1.5 million. Okay, what in addition, how many leads are we going to need in addition to that based on your closing percentage? So, okay, your closing percentage is this. That means we're going to need this many leads. How are we going to get those leads? And we believe every decision that you make has a return on investment. And so you mentioned them both, time and money. They're gonna cost one or the other or both sometimes.
That's right.
In our efforts, which one costs me the least time and the least money that's going to drive the highest results for the effectiveness of what I'm going to do? And that's where I would start if I was small. If I was small, I'm like, hey, what's the most effective thing I can do for as little cost as possible, which is the way everybody buys. I want the most for as little as I can spend. But as time goes on and you grow and your business starts to get a little bit of traction and growth, and you're looking for a little bit of freedom, that's when you bring in guys like you. Hey, we've done that. We're not running all of our marketing anymore. I don't have time for it. And there's people that are better at it than me, but it took a lot of effort on the upfront of, man, I got to make these posts. I got to run these ads. I got to learn these things, which gives me, first off, it gave me a great knowledge level base. I had a knowledge level base that whenever I went into it with a third party, I went, hey, I know some of this stuff. That's right. And I'm going to hold you accountable too. Like I want to see reporting. And do you guys do that with your customers? Do you provide them like weekly reporting and show of improvement and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Monthly reporting, but in great detail, like in great detail. Like if we're running 5 different Facebook campaigns, you're seeing each specifically how many calls were generated from that spend. Like we go into great detail in our reporting because it's important to understand where that comes from. The challenge in that sometimes when you do an omnipresence and multi-channel approach, if someone sees you on Facebook, they see you a bunch of times on Facebook, and then they Google you. Then it comes in from a call from your Google My Business listing because they saw your reviews were good. And they're like, I am going to call this company. So sometimes it's the sum of all parts, right? Sometimes it's more challenging to say, well, this one isn't performing as well. Like there's always optimization that can be done. And there's always testing that can be done and cut the losers and scale the winners and things like that. But there are other things that happen that are just that all of the parts bring the whole together. So,
yeah, we found some of that. Like there's some things that we're not getting direct results from, but it's getting eyes on us.
That's right.
We know people, we can see views, we can see that kind of thing. We go, hey, they're not taking any action there, but they know who we are. They know who we are. They know who we are. And then you kind of watch it. And sure enough, I mean, it's been as much as 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years later, they go, I've been watching you for years, been paying attention to your stuff. I'm ready. And I think that's how most people buy the things they buy these days. Like, I don't need a roof today, but I've been seeing you. I've seen you in our neighborhood. We saw you in our Facebook group. I see your ads. Come on out. I want to talk to you.
There's a stat on that. Like we said, 3% of people are in buying mode at any given time. Kind of. That's kind of the broad statistic.
I'm in that 3% all the time.
Yeah. In a lot of different things, right? Like I'm buying this today. You're probably buying it in the market for a new smoker right now or something.
No. I've been cut off in that arena.
But now you have to think about that in terms of that of people seeing you, right? So online, 1% of people online are creators, 9% are contributors, and the other 90% are lurkers. And
hey, I'm glad you mentioned that, the lurker thing.
The lurkers.
So I heard this stat. You tell me how accurate this is because you probably know better than most anybody I would know. I make a post on Facebook, right? And whatever it is, let's just say it's an organic post. We can compare the two if you want, organic and paid. But I make this post and 10 people like it, right? 10 people. So you go, oh man, that didn't get quite good. And maybe there was a couple of comments. So that gives you a total of 12. The stat is that 100 times what actually interacted with your ad or your post actually saw it. They went by it and went, yep, cool. I looked at the comments, but didn't interact. They didn't like they didn't make a comment. They didn't put the little love heart on it or any of that stuff. They just saw it. They were lurking, right?
Yep.
We need to be aware of that.
That's right. That's where the value is. So for roofer marketers, I dare you out there, listeners, to go and look at follow us on social media, hit like on follow me on Instagram. You will see me in your story and in your posts every single time you are on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, you will see me in your story and in your posts every single time you're on Facebook. If you're on LinkedIn, you will see my posts on your LinkedIn feed. If you're on Twitter, I will be there. That's that impression share. There is so much value in that, right? Of just people seeing you over and over again. Our core principle number 2, right?
Let's talk about practicality of that, right?
Yep.
That's a lot of content creation, and it's a lot of organization, and it's a lot of time investment, right? To do that. How do you structure that? What do you do to do you do that every morning? Do you do it once a week? You got this time set aside that, hey, here's my 7 posts or 6 posts or whatever it's going to be for the next week. What do you do there? And are they paid or organic? It sounds like they're all organic.
And I hope this is all right, but I just there's a replay on our YouTube channel of a webinar that I just did recently about this. It's the content generation engine for roofing contractors. And so having a framework, right? Starting with a framework, of what you want to show your customers, right? Your expertise, your customer reviews, your website, your work, right? Those types of things, what you're doing in the local community. So you have these categories, kind of categorize this content, right? Once you have categories, then you start creating content in those categories. Now the rocket fuel comes in repurposing that content. So now when, like you said, you posted that Facebook post or that Instagram post and only, 10 people liked it. A lot of other people saw it, but not everyone that follows you saw that post. It's not how the algorithm works.
Yeah, I wish.
Right? So maybe you have 1,000 people that liked your page, that like Contractor Coach Pro on Facebook or follow you on Instagram. You do a post, maybe 100 of people see it. 10 of them liked it, 100 of them saw it, right? There's 900 people that didn't see that. Maybe they just weren't on their phone at that specific time when that content was going out. Whatever the algorithm, decided to show this to them instead of that. Why don't you repost that a month from now?
I got you. Or maybe post it in a different venue. Like maybe you did that thing on Facebook and go put it on Instagram.
Yep. We do 6 to 8 posts on every social media channel every day. So we have 7 social media channels and about 6 posts per day on every channel. And so some of those are clips from our podcast. Some of them are educational videos. Some of it is just this is what we're doing today, customer success stories, the different things, right? And so, but once you do these things, you can, if you do a cool kitchen remodel, you're a contractor and you do this beautiful kitchen remodel and you only post that on Facebook once.
That's not going to do you much good.
Right? It's rocket fuel to your value, right? Like to that is posting it over and over and over again. And then over time, you have a bank of content. And there are a lot of tools out there, a lot of social media posting tools where you just upload this content in and it just posts for you.
Is there one in particular you enjoy?
We use Sendable, Social Sprout, Social Pilot, Meet Edgar. There's a lot of them, right? And so
which one's your favorite?
There's a ton of them. We use Sendable, but that's just because we started using it and that's what we use, right? But it's just having that. It's called an evergreen posting feature. So then you just upload the content in, and it'll just post and it'll recycle through that material, right? So now you built 100 roofs this year. You have before and afters of 100 roofs. That's 100 pieces of content that you could be recycling, right? If you got 50 reviews from customers, that's 50 reviews that you could be recycling through there. Now, when you're out at a job site and you pick up your phone and you say, hey, we see this often in our area, you should look for this. That's another piece of content, but that's still relevant 4 months from now. Post it again. So there's my
that's good stuff.
One rant on that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Man, that was really good. So first off, we've been talking about this book right here, The Best Known Roofer, The Omnipresent Marketing Framework. How do people get a copy of this? You were kind of sending me a copy. That appreciate that, and it helped with today's interview. How do people get a copy?
So if you own a contracting company, go to roofermarketers.com and we'll send you a free copy. If you own a roofing company, if you are another marketing company, you could go to amazon.com and order it there.
Sweet, perfect. I love it. And so same place to get a hold of you guys if somebody's looking at, hey, I'm willing and I understand there's going to be an investment. I don't have the time, energy, or ability to understand this whole marketing thing. I need a professional. People go to roofermarketers.com. Is that right?
Yeah, roofermarketers.com. And really what we want to do is see where you're at and what those needs are, right? And we have different packages for different needs, right? If you're more of a startup company, we have that, right? We have something for you. If you're more of that, hey, we're doing 5-10 million a year and we need to ramp it up and we got a big budget for advertising, we can help you out also.
Nice. All right. Yeah. So a lot of times it's like, hey, you got to be at least $5 million before you can afford us, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool to hear that there's options out there. Jim, it's been amazing. It's been really, really good. I got one last question for you. What are you trying to achieve with all this? Why are you doing all this in the first place?
Yeah, the mission of our company is to help roofing contractors generate more revenue through their digital marketing efforts. We do that in two ways. We do that through our agency where contractors can, we kind of do things for you or with you. And then on the other side, we do it as much or more of our mission is also through education. And that's through the couple of books that we've published, speaking at all the industry events, doing shows like yours, we do monthly webinars. We put a lot of content out on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, our YouTube channel. We want to really empower contractors to achieve better results. Just like contractors, there's a bad reputation.
Yeah.
Chuck in a truck, there's Chuck with a keyboard in my business, right? And that guy sends you those, hey, do you want 10 to 15 new leads every month, right? Like, I'll send you 10, we want to help elevate and get contractors away from having to do that in their business and learning, like you were saying earlier, is learning what needs to be done so that they can execute that and achieve more success in their roofing business.
That's pretty awesome. That's why I like you so much. We're pretty aligned in that. Like, I think even in this coaching thing, there's a lot of people out there promising these silver bullets. And I got the solution to solve all your problems, and they don't really take into consideration. Like, for example, with marketing, we talk about this blueprint and the order in which things happen. And if you're thinking about marketing, That's great. And I think you should. I think you should generate as many leads as you possibly can. But you better have your sales system pretty tight. You better have your production pretty tight. You better have your communication technology pretty tight. You better have your accountability tight. You better have all of the things before marketing happens really tight before you go, hey, I'm going to go invest a bunch of money in leads, because your conversions are going to suck. And your customer
conversions are going to suck. Your customer service will suck, and it will fall apart. You will be the three-star contractor on Google, and you will not get phone calls. It's hard to recover from that.
And then you get caught in this trap of, I got to spend more money to get more leads because nobody's coming to me because they want to.
That's right.
And so if you get all that stuff right up front with your leadership, your culture, your process, your employee experience, because whatever your employee experience is like, that's what it's going to be like for your customers out there. So if you don't think those things through and get that nailed down pretty tight, when you go to run marketing, all your systems and processes are going to break, because you got, hey, all these new leads, we actually made some sales, and we're going to put them in a pipeline, and everything goes breaks. So that's what we try to help people with, is understanding these things happen in a sequence. And so if you're ready for marketing, go get with Roofer Marketers. Those guys are amazing. If you're not, get with us. We can certainly help you out and get you there in no time. Jim, really appreciate you today. Awesome podcast. I know we went longer. I'm glad you hung on, didn't say, hey, I got to go or anything like that. There was a lot of valuable stuff. And I think right there at the end was maybe some of the most valuable stuff. You mentioned a webinar on your YouTube channel. What was the name of that again?
That one is the ultimate guide to content is that one.
Ultimate guide to roofer content. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, let me
so they can go to YouTube and just
go to YouTube, go to Roofer Marketers and hit the training videos playlist, and you'll see it on there. That's where you could also find the visual versions of our podcast, where I've had amazing guests on like you to talk about their, how to find success in roofing and in contracting in general. So yeah, my team, they'll pull that out and they'll put it in the show notes and everything to get people over there. We're here to empower not only contractors, but vendors to be successful in this industry. And hopefully we've done that with you today. Thanks for being on the show. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Right. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. That was Contractor Radio Day. Man, that was awesome. Sometimes, whenever I'm talking marketing, I get a little bit tired of it because it's kind of same old. And there was some really great stuff there. Each one of our marketing companies that we've had on have really brought amazing content. Go through, check those out, learn more about your marketing, learn more about what's necessary for you to be in a position to market. If you're struggling and need help with any of these things, we have this cool little thing that you can do to figure out if you're ready for marketing, is to take one of our assessments. You can go to contractorcoachpro.com, click on the button that says assessment, take a little assessment. Through that assessment, we'll understand a little bit more about you, and hopefully you'll click the email that you get next to set a time on our calendar, and we will actually do a free coaching call with you. And it's a coaching call, not a sales pitch or anything like that. We're going to look over your assessment. We're going to go over 2 or 3 things you could do right away to improve your business. And we hope that you walk away from that coaching call and are successful. If you're wanting to do more and would like to work with us, we'd love to have that happen. But if you don't, our whole goal is to give you value that day. Thank you for hanging out with us here today on Contractor Radio. We absolutely love doing this. We hope that you're starting to see the bigger picture, that there is a blueprint, there is a sequence to this, that if done in the right order, your chances of success are magnified about 100 times. And we are looking forward to helping you continue in your growth and achieving that personal and financial freedom that you were chasing when you started your business. We'll see you next time on Contractor Radio.